It's a real treat to be able to introduce Gina Harper, who can really talk to you about glaucoma because she has congenital glaucoma, and she will be talking to you about the emotional impact of this and the technological trends and your career. Thank you.
Hey, so I'm Gina Harper, and this is Yuli, my German Shepherd seeing eye dog, and I'm a Senior Vice President at Morgan Stanley. I'm one of 3 blind women in the United States in the financial services industry, and there's not very many women in the first place, and then there's only 3 blind women. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Thank you. And I'm here today things that drive my life, priorities to me, are being independent and having an amazing life. And all this medical stuff is amazing. It's great, and especially the previous speakers, talk to other things that are sort of practical, different than medicine about how to manage glaucoma. And my specific topics are really using alternative tools and technologies and different techniques to be independent and to have an amazing life. And I was born with congenital glaucoma. I had amazing medical care and had an eye operation when I was 3 days old. And then I sadly had an accident when I was 3 and poked one of my eyes out. And so that was unfortunate. Speaking as a patient, like all of you, for a long time, I was stuck in this middle place where I was too blind to be sighted and too sighted to be blind. So I was really stuck in the middle. And with that came a lot of self-esteem issues, and that was also because I was a kid and a teenager and all that, and I really didn't want to be blind. I sort of would do anything to not be blind, though that was the reality. And one thing I want to mention is that doctors are amazing. The medical care I had was amazing. However, I think there's a misconception that doctors are more than they are. Doctors are to provide medical care, and they are just one resource, and I know the doctors here try really hard to be an amazing resource, but that's just what they are. I mean, they are doctors, and they are one member of your team. So you're your first most important member, and then doctors, your family and support, and really learning about other resources, because doctors, again, they're great, not to diss any doctor, they just can't know everything. So if you just go with their knowledge, you're really missing out. So to me, you want to go out and you want to learn about organizations and newsletters and people. I didn't know any cool blind people. That was a big detriment to me. So I ended up, it's such a long story, it can't really be told in 10 minutes. I ended up in college. I memorized everything because, again, I didn't want to be blind, right? And then my eyes got worse, and they put up a barricade at the college I went to. So I fell down a set of stairs. I was fine. And then I decided I would go learn how to use a cane. And so I learned really great tools and technology. I did do that kicking and screaming, like, again, I don't want to be blind. But learned how to use a cane, and now I use an iPhone that's really changed the life of blind people. So if you don't know tools and technology and you're like, I'm not good, get good, okay? And there's no other option. You need to get good with technology, and you need to buck up, and you need to take classes, and you need to do everything you can, because that's your key to independence. Also, family and support are awesome, but don't believe everything everybody says, and you want yourself to say what kind of life you have. And then from the emotional aspect, there is like, I don't want to be blind. I don't know how you all feel. I don't feel that way anymore. I've changed my attitude. And so attitude, speaking of changing your attitude, is really a critical thing. What you think, if you get this diagnosis and you're like, oh, I'm doomed, and your whole life is consumed with managing your glaucoma, you're missing out on everything else. And part of glaucoma often, managing it would be the perfect thing, but in managing it, sometimes it doesn't work out in your favor. So not to think that, like, your life is over. Your life is not over. And so many years has passed, and I've learned many tools and technology, and I travel independently. Things in my house, I use Braille labels, my microwave talks. I just go find these things. Again, not in one source. There are many places. Then I also thought everybody that could see could do everything better than me. So I learned, I went crazy when I went to the school, the Living Skills School. And I learned how to read Braille and use a cane, and I also signed up for every sporting activity possible because I felt like I'd been in a prison as a child, that the schools didn't know what to do with a visually impaired kid. I wasn't really blind again at that point. I didn't use a cane or anything. I had just vision loss. So I became a world-class downhill skier, and I ended up meeting cool people because of that, and that's how I became a financial advisor. And I don't take no for an answer, so I didn't do anything really the traditional way. If you tell me no, I'm gonna go way out of my way to find a way to do whatever it is that I wanna do, and that is traditionally told no. My belief in that is that a lot of people that are sighted or aren't dealing with glaucoma or whatever the issue is they just don't know how they would do it, right? They don't know how they do it, so they think it can't be done. So I've battled that my whole life, and then sadly, in April last year, I'd been skiing in Park City, and I came home to do an Easter egg hunt with my kids, and we were in our backyard, and I was, oh, I might have to cry. I had hit all the eggs, and then I was looking for them. They've missed a few. So I was like, oh, they're that way. And when I went that way, there was a gate open, a wrought iron gate, and it burst the eye that I could see a little bit out of. And so I was totally blind in my left eye, and I still had really good color vision in my right eye, very bad peripheral vision, but colors really were, I was so grateful, and I used those for clues and stuff. So everything was gone in a split second. And then I had to go have a big emergency surgery, which is not ideal on Easter. And then they told my family she's never gonna be able to see. But because of me, this is the emotional aspect, because I'm me, the next day I went to work at my house. I get to work at home a lot. I have an office, but I literally just got up because I said, I know how to be blind. Like, I know how to read Braille. My computers all talk. I know how to do this. And I did, and I literally went rock climbing 2 weeks later with permission from my eye doctors. But I had a counselor that I was going to, and he just said, you're missing the boat. You may know how to be blind, but there's a traumatic aspect to this. And so anyway, I did a lot of work on that. So if you find yourself in disbelief or thinking life sucks or life is gonna end when you have a diagnosis, or you go to the eye doctor, when I had, I'm not really dealing with much glaucoma right this second, but when I was my whole life until last April, there were times where everything was great for a long time, like the previous speaker said. And then I'd go, and I had no pain in my glaucoma, so I didn't know if something was going wrong. And then something would go wrong, and I would literally find it within me to say, you have the tools. So one thing is, learn things in advance. Don't wait until you know. Like, if you are losing your vision, learn how to read Braille if you don't know how, or you don't even need it. You don't need it, okay? Learn how to use the cane if you don't need it, because you don't know when you're gonna need it. And then, so what happened for me is, because I learned all these things at this Living Skills Center, I was able to slow down for 3 weeks, which that's a long time in my life for slowing down, and remember what it was I knew how to do that I wasn't really having to call on because I had useful vision. And so anyhow, then so I kept on with it, couldn't see anything, and like a little bit of light was coming back to my vision after April, and then my retina detached in June. So then I had an amazing surgery, but a recovery from hell, because I was in pain that was unmanageable, and no medicine, oxycodone, fentanyl, nothing would take the pain away. So that's the emotional aspect. I had to just say, my motto is there's always a way. So there's always a way, and you're gonna find a way, and this is gonna pass. And a lot of self-talk, right? And conferring with my friends and my family and counselors, and I finally got the pain managed. And then I just decided to, not decided, it's my way to keep going on. So I started doing things. Nothing slowed me down until the retinal surgery. It was very complicated, and the pain slowed me down. And then I got back to work, and then I wanted to, an emotional aspect is I love to ski. Like I said, I was a downhill skier, and I love to ski, and I love tandem cycling, and I love rock climbing, and so I thought, I'm gonna be afraid to ski, and which is weird, because I couldn't see that well anyway. I skied with a guide in front of me, and it's like, in your mind, if you can see colors, you think you can see better than you can, or I thought I could see better than I could. But anyway, so I'm like, I'm gonna face my fear. So I went to Park City in December, and I got a guide that I'd skied with, and he was amazing, and I trusted him, and I know how to ski really well. So I'm like, you just gotta do this, Gina. So I did, and I went, and I did great, so yay for me. So anyway, so that was great. And I just proceeded on, and now I can see lights are on and things, and there's a lot of technicalities about that. But my real secrets to success are this attitude that there's always a way, using tools and technologies, and I never stop. I just went to the largest adaptive technology conference from CISA in the last few days to see what's available. I constantly call people. I make sure I have good role models, and I make sure I know who knows other things before I do. And I just want to share a couple more tools, but how am I on time?
A couple minutes.
Okay. So another thing, again, if you're just sort of losing your sight, is there's a ton of apps. Again, a lot of things are driven through the iPhone, so again, get on it if you haven't gotten on that yet. But it's an app called Ira, and there's literally an agent, and you call them up, and you can have them look things up for you or order something on Amazon. Now, this is not a replacement of learning how to use a computer, so you have to be independent. Well, you don't have to, but my advice would be independent first. But this is because I'm busy, so I use this as multitasking. It just happens to be available to blind people. So I'll be doing the dishes and having them read me, articles from the Wall Street Journal on something I want to know for work, because I don't have enough time in the day. So Ira is a cool thing where they can use the camera in your phone. They also have special glasses that you don't have to use, but you can, and they have a camera in them, so they can go, as you're going through an airport, your hands can be free, and they will tell you, well, you're at gate B2, or they'll tell you the Starbucks is over to the left. And so it really, the secrets are the tools and technology, and the last thing is that I am, and hopefully you will be, a woman or a man of action. So I don't let things get me down, even if I'm in a funk. Like July was a big funk, and you just have to find it within you, and you do have to reach out and know that there's not any one doctor or organization that knows everything. So just get the best of the best and keep it coming through email and going to events and meeting. I mean, I go out of my way to meet interesting blind people because, they're people I aspire to be like. So pretty much in closing, I would say that in my life and work and in play, and hopefully in yours, that I and you will always find a way. There you go.